Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you very, very much indeed for your time. Today, we welcome along another actress by the name of Miriam O'Brien. And let's take a moment to introduce Miriam and her work. Miriam trained at LIPA, that's LIPA, which is the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. She's worked extensively in the theatre. Some of her many credits include Much Ado About Nothing at the Sam Wanamaker Playhouse and the Globe, and many other credits at the Torch Theatre in Milton Haven in Wales include One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, One Man, Two Guvnors, Sleeping Beauty, and The Woman in The Woman in Black. Other credits include The Box Cleaver at the Liverpool Everyman, Humans at Work at the Warwick Arts Centre, Up Next at the National, and Shout, the mod musical for the Royal Court in Liverpool. For screen, she has appeared in The Date with Claire Cartwright, who's also been on here, a short film which received several nominations in the short film circuit, winning Best Director at the 2019 Jury Awards. It's still available on YouTube right now, so go check it out. It's brilliant. It's about two women finding love in the modern world of dating apps and web presences. And she joins me fresh from her run in Pericles, where she played the Lady of Ephesus, hopefully I said that right, and Ensemble, which ran both at the RSC in Stratford and Chicago at the Chicago Shakespeare Theatre. So that's just a small sample of Miriam. But without further ado, hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Guys, thanks for your time today, Miriam. I really appreciate it.
That's quite all right. This is exciting for me.
Oh, wow, thank you. So we start at the beginning with every guest. So in your case, Miriam, where did it all come from, the love of acting?
I have a feeling it was from when I was younger. I don't know if you have any siblings, but particularly older siblings. Um, when I was younger, my sister was involved in lots of drama groups, and I think I idolized her in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
And when I saw that she was involved in drama groups, I was like, well, I want to do that. And so I got involved in them because of her, and I got involved in the same one that she was involved in. And then from there, she decided to go on a different path, but I sort of stuck at it because I loved it. And then from then on, it was pretty much a no-brainer. Like all throughout school, I was bored by everything else, but I loved getting involved in any of the shows that the school was doing, and was always involved in like outside groups with like physical theatre or like doing any sort of musicals or whatever. Anything I could get my hands onto, I would do it.
Hmm.
Um, so it was just, yeah, from a very early age, really. It's kind of one of those boring stories where, sort of, yeah, from a young age, and then that's where it happened.
Oh, it's not boring at all. Not boring at all. So I mentioned in the intro you went to LIPA, of course, Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. It's a fantastic school. It's been credited by Paul McCartney, of course, from the Beatles, in case anyone might have heard of them. So yeah, tell me about your training at drama school. How was LIPA?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this earlier because I went when I was 18. I was fresh out of school, so I'd had no real insight into what the real world was remotely like. So when I got there, I was sort of like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, kind of cocky, thought I was really brilliant. And then 3 years after drama school, you sort of come out completely the opposite. You come out like annoyingly humble and thinking you're kind of shit. And so you go, oh, it's fine. Other people might get the part over me, so I probably just won't audition. Because part of drama school, I don't know if it's the same now, and every institute has to hold their hands up and take responsibility for something. But LIPA particularly was pretty bad for like, I don't know, just constantly basically being like, you're not that good, so should we try something else? There was just a lot of that. But having said that, the training was great and it was massive fun, and I've come out with the most incredible friends that I wouldn't change for the world, and it's led me to where I am today. And I loved it, and it was full on. It was like 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. every day, as with every other drama school, and then sometimes you're in at the weekends doing extra prep for, I don't know, whatever shows you're doing. So it was amazing, and it was really good training. And if you were ever late, you got a big red mark, and if you got three red marks, you were kicked out, and they stuck by it. You
Wow.
know, yeah. So it taught us discipline and taught us professionalism, and we all came out as proper grafters, I would say.
That sounds a very motivational message, though, from what you said just there about, well, you're not that good, maybe you shouldn't even try. Hang on a sec. That's not good. That's not good.
No, but I think, and maybe my interpretation is really different. And sometimes we make up memories in our own head, but I'm really so sure that that's how it was. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of institutes are also that way. I don't know about the London ones, but I know for sure the ones outside of London were responsible for some of those. Um, I think some of those lessons, and I think a lot of people would also say the same as me. I don't think I'm the only one who came out feeling that way, but it was important. It definitely was important. I'd rather that way than you're amazing and then you get out and you think you're this new big thing and then no one wants you and you go, oh God, what the hell has happened? So I'd rather that than delusion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Guildford was very much like that. It was basically like just take your time with this thing. It might be hard, you might get a job straight away, but just keep going and just keep going through the tough times and everything. They were
Yeah,
very supportive, but they were very real about it, because this business is very up and down all the time, and you just got to ride it and just keep going at all costs.
mm.
So, what would be like some of the biggest takeaways you got from LIPA that you still use today?
um I think the lesson of showing up on time and showing up with all of your stuff figured out, be
Mm,
prepared, um and leave any sort of ego at the door. They really had no time for anything like that.
sure.
Um, and so yeah, so I've definitely taken that, and also just in terms of like, I think the friendships that I've come away with, we're all, I guess we're all really different people, but we all have this like one really beautiful thread tying us all together because we shared that huge experience, and that is so much a part of who I am now. Um, and so, despite the fact that I don't really work with a lot of the people that I trained with. Occasionally, we'll come back and work together, and then we go off again. Um, but yeah, that was one of the biggest takeaways for me was the people.
Yeah, yeah, the people make the place, don't they? They really do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, what would you say was the difference between Miriam on day one and Miriam on graduation day?
I would say uh, coming in at 18, being a little bit cocky and not really knowing myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I needed. Um, but through the training and through hardship, you sort of bond with people. I guess like trauma bonding sounds really dramatic, but it's sort of trauma bonding in a way, isn't it? Because like it's a lot,
Yeah.
and you know this. It's drama school is a lot,
Yeah.
um, and then so I think on the last day, I left being like I left knowing myself a lot more and being comfortable with what I had to offer, and also being really excited. I was really scared on day one, but I
Mm,
desperately tried to hide it. But but as I was leaving, I was like, I don't feel like there's anything to be scared of
mm,
because I'm happy, I'm healthy, I have people around me who I love, and anything over and above that, whatever happens, it's all fine.
mm.
Um, and so I just, yeah, I'd say, I don't know, did I answer that properly?
Yeah, no, of course you did. Of course you did. No, it's just got to take it in your stride and just know
Yeah,
that, we all need those humbling lessons when we go to drama school, especially. Like you say, leave your ego at the door and then just be yourself more than anything and discover like who you are and stuff. It's can be a messy process, but it's better in the end,
yeah,
which is brilliant. So
yeah,
we've got so many credits I'd love to talk to you about today, but we'll do one that's very, very fresh in your memory. Of course, that
yeah.
was Pericles, which, as I said in the intro, was at the RSC, and you just finished a run of it in Chicago with the Chicago Shakespeare Theatre.
Mhm.
So first of all, how did you hear about the job? Was it through your agent? Did the RSC come to you? How did it all start?
So amazingly, about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I got the chance to work with Tamara Harvey
Mm,
um, on a project. No, it was longer than that. Maybe it was like 2021. I got to work with her on a project. I was pulled in last minute to sort of cover someone who had fallen ill.
all right.
Um, and it was a mad project. It was 2 weeks long. So I think she just needed someone who could come in and be like, I've got it. Don't worry. I'll come in and I'll do the job and then I'll go. Um, and Tamara and I really got on well. I loved the way that she worked, and I assumed she liked the way I worked as well. And then we just sort of stayed in touch. Um, and then I was in something else at Theatre Clwyd while she was the AD there. So I got to see her again, and would always say to her every time I saw her, I'd say, "I'd love to work with you again." Just sort of dropping the seed, but you never know. You never know if it's ever going to work. But
Yeah.
yeah, just in the back of my mind, thinking, "Oh, come on, it would be so great." Um, and then because she's a wonderfully busy woman, I just assumed it probably won't happen. And then when she got the AD job, uh, at the RSC, I was like, well, that would be amazing to work with her again, but chances are very, very slim because I've been knocking on that RSC door for about 10 years now and nothing.
Yeah, we all have, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then really randomly, when I was living in London, I was working as a as a gardener landscaper, and was on a I was on a job in a random house in Greenwich somewhere, and I got this email and it pinged through, and it was my agent saying, "Oh, we've just had a direct offer from Tamara, um, asking you to come on board." And I was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, great." Um, so it was an instant yes from me because I just yeah was dying to work there and was obviously really really keen to work with her again. So yeah, so that's how it happened. So it's a really lovely sort of full circle moment because I've been trying to get on their books for ages, on their
Yeah,
books, and trying to get in the door for ages,
yeah.
and it was actually Tamara who brought me in. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you're firmly established in the building now. They know where to find you, because
Yeah, yeah,
your work now. So I'll be perfectly honest. Pericles is one that is very new to me. In fact, getting you on the show today actually made me sort of look up the story and everything because it's one of his later plays of Shakespeare's, isn't it? It's one
yeah.
like not as, of course it's popular, but obviously the Scottish plays, the Hamlets, everything, the ones that people know about. Then you got Pericles, and people go, "What? What's Pericles?"
Hmm.
And like, yeah, and you read it. So for anyone who's not familiar with the story, I've got a brief blurb here. Now, I can't take credit for this. It's from the Chicago Shakespeare website, so all credit to them. Let's see if I can find it here. So here we go. So the story is of Pericles solves a dangerous riddle, but the answer could cost him his life. He sets sail on an epic voyage that sees him battle princes, marry his true love, and become a father. When the tides of fortune turn, Pericles doubts that he will ever see his family again, but second chances come in a miraculous act that offers him beautiful hope. Escape into this stunning late Shakespeare romance as the RSC shows off its skill and expertise under new inspired leadership. Celebrate the magic of redemption. So the play, it has like all the things that you want from a Shakespeare tragedy. It's got deception, it's got betrayal, it's got redemption, of course. It's got all these things that you would expect from a Shakespeare tragedy. And these, there's some parts of this play I'm like, really? Is that really a thing? Because I forget the character's name. I'm so sorry, but one of the mums plots against one of the main daughter because she believes that she's more attractive than her daughter. I mean, where does that come from? And
Hmm.
we might touch on some spoilers today, but yeah. So your character, Lady of Ephesus, so which we'll come back to redemption in just a second. Lady of Ephesus. So did I say that right, by the way?
I think it's Ephesus.
Who is she?
She's actually a very small part. This was just an ensemble role. And I'll be totally honest, she doesn't really add much to the story. In fact, she adds nothing to the story. She's purely there as an onlooker, um, for one of the big events that opens the second act.
Yeah.
So it was a joy being part of that scene because obviously, as ensemble, when you're covering people, um, your your speaking roles are limited because you could be jumping into any role at any time. Um, so yeah, so it was lovely playing her, but the setup of the whole show really for all of us is that we were all multi-rolling at all times. Even, I mean, even the guy playing Helicanus, who was Pericles' sort of advisor, uh, main role, but would also appear as different members of different worlds throughout the show. So it was a very ensemble heavy lots of roles, lots of parts going on at all times, and loads of different costumes being thrown on. So Lady of Ephesus, while she was my named part, was just another one that goes whoop whoop and then she's gone. But I mean, it was a joy.
Oh, absolute joy. No, that's an interesting point there. You said about ensemble and how you all work together and cover each other in a way. And I think that's a good point to talk about that. People sort of, not to sound like a snob here or anything, but people might say, oh, just ensemble or something. But no, but absolutely not. Ensemble is the heartbeat of the whole show, for God's sake. So
Yeah.
in this production, what was the ensemble? How did you guys sort of work together on this one?
Well, at the very crux of it, a lot of us were doing quite a lot of understudy roles, and I don't really know what happened, but we had just a series of some bad luck,
Mm,
illness wise, within the show.
sure.
So it meant that a lot of us were going a lot of the time on as our understudy roles, which is both a blessing and a curse, really, because the blessing is that you get to experience what it's like to do that role, but then the curse is that someone's off ill, and you don't want to wish that on any of your fellow cast
Yeah,
members,
of course.
especially the ones that you like really love, because we all loved each other. Um, so that was really hard, but also a total mad joy of a dream. Um, so I think towards the end of the run in Stratford, I think I had ended up doing more understudy covers than I did my own ensemble track, because there was just a constant conveyor belt of covering coming through.
Mm.
So and that wasn't just me; that was the case for a lot of other people. So I think our ensemble was definitely a lot of us just sort of swooping in and just being like, yeah, I've got it, let's carry on. I've got it, let's carry on. Got it, let's carry on. So it was like, yeah, it was a constant sort of beautiful, safe tornado, I would say. Um, but that was really amazing. And then in the actual show itself, uh, we were basically all on stage at all times, especially in the scenes where, there was like a grand banquet, or there was a dance, or you're creating new worlds. Our movement director, Annie, and Tamara both were really keen to set up the worlds purely through movement. So it was a really movement heavy show,
Nice.
all really beautifully done. So each world was established with all of us on stage doing all sorts of different movements, and then we'd sort of dwindle off and let the scenes play out. And then for scene changes, we'd all come on and then come off again. So it was very, very ensemble based, because we were all involved basically all of the time, which was lovely, because it meant that we couldn't get bored.
Yeah. So you're all working together, supporting the thing at all times, so you can't switch off and everything,
Yeah,
which is great. So
yeah.
tell me about the rehearsal process. How did you guys sort of find your rhythm and your togetherness in the rehearsal room?
I think on day one, we just did a load of exercises together, mainly movement exercises, because movement can be really exposing for a lot of people
Yeah.
if it's not if that's not where people's comfort level sits, it can be really, really tricky. And so I think you have to bring any walls down straight away, and you just have to trust people. And so I think a lot of these movement exercises that we were doing together, getting us sort of to move as an ensemble, all
Mm.
to be comfortable with, physical touch and um, things like that. The exercises immediately just brought us really close together, and we all just went, we are a team of people that we can absolutely trust, and we felt like family week one. And I think that was also the skill of Tamara, bringing in people that she had worked with before, or
Mm.
meeting people that she was like, oh, these people will all work really well together. I think she'd done a really good job of that. And yeah, it was lovely. It felt really safe. It was really playful. We were always encouraged to play, um, and to just laugh, and to just be joyful.
Mm.
And so I think, yeah, that was set up almost immediately on day
Yeah.
one or day two. Those dynamics were set up.
Yeah, nice. So, like for you guys, because you worked on it for so long, because you're with the whole rehearsal process, well, I nearly said audition there. You had a direct offer, sort of right from the off.
Yeah.
But when you're with a play for that long and then taking it abroad to Chicago, you're discovering new things about it all the time. So, in your case, what do you think is the message of this play? What do you think? What's in this play that maybe isn't in other Shakespeare plays? Do you think?
I think Pericles only ever conducts himself as a really kind human being.
Hmm.
He's never rude to people, and he never feels, I don't think he ever feels hard done by. And there's an overriding message of grief and loss and love. And I think there's a lot of grief that happens in this show, particularly to Pericles.
Hmm.
It's grief after grief after grief after grief. And uh, I think for me, the importance of this show is death is the only sure thing in our life, right? So at any one point, every single one of us in this planet on this planet will experience grief to some degree at some level.
Sure.
So it's a universal experience, grief. And so I think the reason the show is so beautiful is because everyone can identify with at least something that's happening, at least one of the emotions that's going on, or at least something that's going through Pericles' mind. Um, and it's about the people that he falls in love with and the people that he meets. And he conducts himself with kindness. He never asks for anything back. And if he meets horrible people, he just goes, okay, I just won't involve myself with that, and I'll move on. And I'll make sure to remember those horrible people and never conduct myself in that way. I
Hmm.
will actively work to not be like that, and I'll be a better person. And I just think it's a real message of just be kind to people, because you never know what good karma will come back.
Hmm.
And it will come back. Good karma will come back.
Yeah, that good karma is a thing. It's not just
Yeah, it
bad
really
karma
is.
out there. Good karma is, you put out what you get back what you put out, essentially, don't you? So
Exactly.
yeah, so keep your vibe high, guys. Keep them high. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so you were with this play for a long time in the RSC, where I would imagine you got like real proper Shakespeare boffins coming to see the show every night. So and then you take it to America as well. So I've asked this question on a few episodes actually, but what did you notice about British audiences to Shakespeare compared to American audiences for Shakespeare?
I think with British audiences, despite the fact that Pericles was much less known, like I'd never even heard of it before I even got the job.
Yeah.
So it's a lesser known one anyway. But I think when the audiences were coming to Stratford, I think a lot of the attitude in Stratford is like, um, okay, well here's another Shakespeare. Then come on, let's see what you've got, and it's oh yes, we're watching Shakespeare. We're watching Shakespeare. So it's very like it's very respectful. But sometimes you want to go. We can let loose, and we'd love to hear you.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, so we had really warm receptions in Stratford. So that was really lovely. And especially people who either had seen it before would come and say, that was the best Pericles I've ever seen. We loved it. Or people who had never seen it before would say, I understood every word and I absolutely loved it and will definitely be going to see another one whenever it comes.
Mm.
So that was really lovely. And then when we took it to America, even less people had heard of it. But American audiences are much more comfortable and much more confident about making verbal reactions. And so it was loud and it was full and it was like, I don't know, sometimes it felt like we were in an American TV show, because at times it felt like canned laughter and we were like, oh my gosh, this is actually a thing. Um, it was wild. So that was really interesting, because I think there's less of a I don't know what it is. There's sort of less of a thing about Shakespeare over in America, because it's not. I guess it's not done as much. I don't know, or they don't study it in school, so there's less of a bravado around it.
Mm.
Um, so to them, it's just another. It's a joy to be able to come and watch Shakespeare, but for them, it's just another night out at the theatre. It's another story to listen to. So they can laugh along, or they can cry along, or react the way that they want to react and not feel any shame about that.
Mm. It's funny because it's a common theme is that in over here we're kind of very polite, we're like we let them do their thing, we might laugh
Yeah.
if we find something funny, but ultimately we keep quiet, keep quiet. Whereas in America it's like no, we're getting involved, we're getting involved here, and like we want to be part of this, and in a way that's great, but then I suppose if you're in the middle of a scene and then you hear someone go, oh man, and then you're like, did that ever happen some nights?
Oh my gosh, yeah, all the time. But it was l- luckily we were a cast of people who were so willing that to happen. We wanted that to happen. And there were times when, I don't know, times when there'd be a moment of silence and someone in the audience would do something. And this is also the dangerous thing when all of us are on stage at all times and we're all playful, is someone does something in the audience and we all go, oh no, no one break. Because if anyone breaks, we all break. Um, but in the scenes where joy is part of it, if someone reacted and we all heard it and we all laughed on stage, that just becomes part of the joy of the scene. So it was never off-putting. It always became a part of whatever vibe was going on stage at the moment. The audience would only ever really add to it, um, whether their reactions were expected or not. It was great, and we welcomed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think, obviously, as you said there, it's sad it's not a play which a lot of people do know about, even though it's by Shakespeare, but it's not as well known. But, what would you say to audiences who see Pericles? What's this? Why should people go and see this play? What can it speak to them other than, like you said earlier, grief? And what else does it say, do you think?
I think everyone loves a love story, right?
Sure.
And there's a really beautiful love story as part of this one, but there are so many different journeys that happen. It's sort of like it's just watching something do this, and you go, what the hell is going on now? Because at some point, like pirates come in, and then a goddess comes in and just sort of like performs this trance in front of Pericles, and it's all these. He travels to loads of different places, and we all joked and said Pericles feels like Shakespeare got drunk one night and was like, I'm gonna put into this play all of the best bits of my other plays, and everyone's gonna love it. So like, yeah, there's bits of magic and bits of tragedy, bits of grief, love stories, comedy. It's just a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
And so then you come out at the end and you go, I've just watched a bit of everything that I could want in a show. It's taken me on so many mad, beautiful, gorgeous, heartbreaking journeys.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, every bit of it is valid. There's nothing that you would want to cut out because it all adds to it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and also because I think it follows one person on this journey, it becomes a lot easier because in so many of other Shakespeare's plays, there's like um, I don't know, twins mistaking each other for twins, or all of this like, who's this? Who's that? Is this someone else? Is that someone else? But there's none of that in this, so it's much easier to follow as a first timer, especially. It's
Yeah.
much easier to follow because you're just following this one person on the journey, and
Hmm.
so you're all in it together. You feel like you're there with it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's like you said, you mentioned there about pirates actually, and Shakespeare's got a bit of a. I only know this from two other plays, but Pericles and Hamlet, where suddenly it looks like the main characters are in the pit of turmoil, and then suddenly pirates turn up, and it is there to like in Hamlet's case, the other one was Hamlet, so you got Hamlet who flees for England, and then suddenly I bet Shakespeare just goes, oh shit, how do I get him back? How do I get him back? So just write pirates is fun. And then pirates pick up Pericles at one point, don't they? Or do pirates have some sort of involvement in it, don't they?
Pirates have so Marina, who is Pericles' daughter, uh, Pericles and the daughter haven't met or reunited yet. So they don't know each other yet. But Marina is in turmoil in a place called Mytilene, and then at some point, yeah, pirates come and steal her away, and then take her somewhere else completely. I don't really know why, but it weirdly makes sense in the show. When you see it all together, you go, "Oh yeah, all right, that figures. Yeah, that's kind of clever."
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
they don't. I don't think they have anything to do with Pericles, but it's Marina. But it
yeah, yeah,
means that ultimately, because of what happens because of the pirates, directly affects Pericles.
yeah. It's in the universe somehow of that play. It just next, unlike what you said, Shakespeare probably drunk one night. Go, oh wait, how do I get him back? Oh, just put pirates in again, it'll be fine. And then just miraculously, it works.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know how, but it works. Oh,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. So that's great about Pericles and stuff. And I hope actually, because I unfortunately didn't get the chance to see it, that there will be. I don't know if you can talk about this, but has there been any talk of a DVD or release on Globe Player or nothing at all?
Not that I'm aware of, but I mean,
Okay.
it would be amazing, and I would hope that we could share it beyond the audiences that got to see it in
Yeah.
person, because yeah, it would be lovely.
Yeah, I'd
But
love to see
yeah,
it.
I don't know. I'm afraid.
Okay, no, that's okay. Yeah,
Fingers
but
crossed, though.
yeah, but I love to see it, and yeah, and you discover more about Shakespeare already, which I just love his stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's go on to something else now. So this is something I'm really excited to talk to you about, which is of course The Woman in Black. And I've been lucky enough to speak to Chris and Tom Godwin, who've also been on the show. They were the first ever father and son actor duo to play Kipps and the actor actually at the Fortune Theatre. And
Ah,
fantastic guys, amazing actors, and shout out to both of them right now. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the play, again, slight spoiler alert coming. So Arthur Kipps travels to a remote village called my mind's just now gone blank. Anyway, he travels to a remote village to deal with to Eelmarsh House to deal with the sort of the death of Alice Drablow and her estate. And while he's there, he is haunted by an apparition with a absolutely dark, creepy, and silent, which is very effective, by the way, silent menace, which follows him in the dark in the house. And his perception of, I don't believe in ghosts, suddenly changes a lot towards the end. So, but anyway, enough for me. How did you play her?
I think from having seen it, I had the gift of knowing how it was effective.
Mm,
And I came to understand that actually, in her stillness, it was way more effective because a lot of the suspense and the frights came from the sounds and the lighting and the reactions of the other actors. So it's all about a beautiful cocktail and concoction of all of the right sounds and lighting and staging.
mm,
And then actually, all she does is, she briefly walks across somewhere, or she stands and looks and then moves on. But it's the stand and look that's caught by light, and then she moves on. Um, so my interpretation was to just try and really play it as still as possible, um, because I think, and also Peter, who was directing it, was keen not to make it like he didn't want to make it any sort of horror movie. He wanted to make it really real,
yeah, sure.
um, and play it, yeah, play it for its truth. Um, and so yeah, so I just tried to play it as honestly and as still as I possibly could, and then trust that the lighting and the sounds and everything else that was going on around it would almost do the job with me,
Mm. Yeah,
if
like
that makes sense.
yeah, for sure. Like just thinking about there, like you, as you say, the stillness and her stillness is what makes her so scary. I mean, really fucking scary. And but even in that stillness, there's a whole world going on inside here and Kristen Gifford, that was the place. Mine just gone ding, 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 ding. But yeah, you've got, and she's, I mean, talk about a traumatic end to her life. I mean, drowning in the marsh. Well, no, she sees her son drowning in the marsh, and then she goes crazy. And this is the brilliant moment at the end of the play where Kipps and Sam Daly talk about basically how she ended up the way that she did. But
Mm.
anyway, what I'm trying to get onto here is like there's a whole story in that stillness. You may not be doing anything, but there's a whole story going on behind the eyes, and sadly the disease which wasted her away and stuff. So how did you find that stillness, but in amongst a crazy and tragic story?
Yeah, I think I I think I remember trying to instill some sort of like, I guess like a heaviness because
Mm.
she's been through a hell of a lot. And so, yeah, while an audience can't really read that
Well,
in her fleeting moments, I did
yeah,
think I should probably I should probably wear her story as much as I possibly can. And also, this is where again, like costume came in so wonderfully because I was in an incredibly tight, heavy corset, and then the rest of the clothing was like it sort of it sort of cemented me into a physicality, into a position, and my train as part of my dress was really heavy, so even to walk as in my costume was quite an effort. And so I think that was really helpful because it made my physicality a certain way. You know, it was heavy and it was laboured,
mm,
um, and yeah. So I think that was also really helpful. But it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to know like how far you go with your own personal story as an actor because you go half the audience aren't even going to be able to. They're not even going to know. So
mm.
how far do I go? How much do I traumatize myself with like horrible thoughts or
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
No, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Which is like,
But yeah, so
yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say about the physicality, just trying to wear the heaviness, but also
Yeah,
yeah, not trying to put too much I guess emotional upheaval through my brain.
yeah. In your prep, did the Laban efforts ever come in, like the heaviness and the just finding that heaviness in a way? Was that?
Yeah, I guess they did. It's funny that you mentioned that because that's something like sort of harping back to drama school. That's something
Yeah.
that you learn. You learn it so regularly that it then just becomes second nature. So it's not even like I said into my own head. Oh, her Laban efforts will be da 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 da. It's just something, and you'll know this. It's just something that you just naturally click into. That you go, I don't know. You don't. I didn't even ask myself the questions about it. It just sort of happened.
Mm.
But I guess, yeah, in answer to your question, yes, 100% the Laban efforts came into it.
Yeah, yeah, because I think if you do it so much at drama school, I don't know if you did it a lot while you were there, but yeah, then
Yeah.
yeah, it becomes second nature, muscle memory, and all that stuff. But anyway, there's a couple of moments in the play which really, really get an audience's up on their feet, and like you say, funny enough, it's like when you are doing it, the play looks like when you're not there, when you're just like hiding in the wings, just thinking, okay, my next entrance is coming up in a minute, but you can feel the audience just going,
Yeah.
yeah. And actually, yeah, let me ask you that. What was the some of the best reactions you got from some of your entrances or when you were on stage?
I think for me, I love horror movies, so
Yeah.
I love that feeling of suspense. Anyway, I'm such a sucker for it.
Mm.
So anytime I could feel the suspense and I knew what was coming, and also with the sound as well, there'd be some sounds where the sounds would sort of creep up, and so you could feel the audience go, "Oh God, something's about to happen! Like, please, please, no!" And then if I were to make a quick entrance, the most satisfying were always the screams or the gasps. I loved it because I was like, "Yeah, that's
Cool.
that's
It
why I'm
works.
here."
It
Yeah,
works.
yeah, it works. It works, and it also means that it means they're paying attention because they're
Yeah.
so invested in it that as soon as something crops up that they weren't expecting, it's like
Mm.
a visceral reaction. So you know that they're in it. So I loved that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I really loved those. But hilariously, as an actor, you also like backstage, all the backstage team get to see you as a totally non-scary human being. So backstage, I'd be in the wings just eating my monster munch, and then think, oh God, I've got to go on, and then adopt the physicality again. But yeah, so that was really fun. But yeah, 100% the screams and the gasps and the sort of like gripping seats was definitely my best bit because I love making people jump in my own life as Miriam anyway. Um, so yeah, that was sort of a dream.
Yeah, and so I had the fortune, because you saw it there as well. But there's a scene where she walks the very first entrance you have in the church, that you walk through the audience. And I've seen pictures of the what's it called, the Torch Theatre. And so how did you? Anyway, but we'll talk about that in a second. But like, that's the first entrance, and the sound, as you said earlier, you hear the footsteps on the marble stone floor. And you're thinking, wait, who else is here? What's going on? And then
Hmm.
Yeah, what was that first entrance like, where you just slowly walk through the church and up on the stage and people see you for the first time?
Yeah, that was really fun actually, and it was different to the Fortune because the Fortune has a central aisle that she came down
Yeah, yeah,
through,
yeah, yeah.
but the Torch doesn't have that, so they had to think of a way to do it. And the way they did it was down at the very front of their auditorium, to the side of the stage. As you're looking at it, there's a door
Mm,
that sort of leads, when it's lit properly, it looks as if it leads to nowhere. So I'd be waiting in basically what was my dressing room, which was right next to this door that enters into the theatre, but they had lit it so that it looked pitch black. So someone would um, sort of ping the door open, but it would be pitch black, so no one would be able to see that a door had been opened.
mm,
And then as I walked through, it's almost like I just appeared, because also I'm all in black, right? So
mm,
that the only thing that they can then see is some sort of figure, and it always took them a hot minute to figure out what was going on. So I'd appear through the door, but because there was action going on stage, they'd all be pinned to it. And then suddenly I'd come into their view and they'd all go, "Oh my God, what the hell is that?" But then before they have a moment to even register what happened, I'm in, and then straight down some stairs that leads under the stage.
yeah.
So it doesn't really, I was on for much less time than she would have been at the Fortune. Um, and I think it was Peter's way of saying we're just going to drip feed. We're not going to give them too much. We're
Mm,
going to give them just enough to establish who she is and what she looks like, but not enough time to get used to it. Because the more that you see it, the more you get used to it. And he was like, "I don't want that. I want them. I want
mm,
there to still be a sense of mystery."
mm. It's like you want the answers. You want to see where she is. Like when I went to see it, I was like, where is she? Where is she? I felt I don't want to know. No, where is she? When is she in the, it's just you're torn between. I want to know where you are, but you don't want to see her and everything. And I tell you what, one thing that I remember the very first time I went to see it was the makeup is it makes you look like I don't know what yours was like if it was similar to the one in the West End, but it made the girl playing it look absolutely terrifying just to even
Yeah.
look at. I mean, what was the makeup process like for you?
I
So,
think I ended up having to do the makeup myself, but I think
okay,
they had got some, from what I remember, they'd got some pictures of what they wanted it to look like, and it was really similar to the Fortune one. Because
yeah,
also when I was working front of house, I'd have to hold the doors open for the girl playing the woman in black, so I always got to see her, and we'd have normal conversations as well before she went on stage. So that was also always really mad, having a normal conversation with this like gorgeous girl, but in horrendous makeup. Um, so I sort of remembered that anyway. Um, and then they basically gave me a palette of makeup and said, "This is what we're going for." And I just gave it a bash on my own face, and also from remembering what she had looked like in the Fortune. And it's
mm,
just sort of like dark eyes and very, very pale, and sort of darkening out the cheekbones, where to the point where you almost look like you're a skeleton with sort of melted skin.
mm.
um, so yeah, so I actually creeped myself out. I won't lie. If I ever caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror or like a window walking past in the dark, I'd think, "Oh God, don't look at yourself, Miriam," because it's far too creepy. Um, but yeah, the makeup was great. That was a big part of it for me. I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like one of the things that in the show is that she can't move on, she can't forget, she can't forgive. She's constantly in this state of wanting revenge, and and because for what happened to her, she lost her child who was really young, and again, there's that awful curse which she has as well. You know, whenever she is seen by anyone, however briefly, and whoever does it, there's only one and sure certain result that a child has died.
Hmm.
And, you know, I get this image of now you walking out the stage door and see a family walking towards you, and you're like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
don't look at me, don't look at me. But yeah, again, playing that heaviness and that curse every single night. I mean, well, actually, how do you, or A, how did you sort of find that, sort of going off what you were talking about earlier? And like, how did you sort of go, how did you protect yourself throughout this, without going too far into it? Because it's a really, really dark story.
Hmm. I think it's hard because, like, I was what, 23 at the time. So at that point I'd never experienced really any hardship or grief or anything bad really in my life.
Sure.
So I was thinking, I don't have anything to draw on because I can't I can't even imagine what any of that must feel like. And I don't want to imagine that. It would be absolutely awful.
Absolutely not.
So I think I was purely going off physicality with that sort of stuff because I was thinking, I don't really have the um, resources at my fingertip. Not resources. I don't know what the word
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
I don't have
resources. Yeah,
anything. Yeah, I don't have any emotions readily available to me to fully identify with what is actually happening. So it did come down to the physicality for me, I
yeah,
think. And as I said before, it's I think as a sort of self-preservation, I thought I'm not going to go that deep because
yeah.
the audience can't really see it anyway. I'm so much in the dark, and I make about I think altogether she makes about four appearances, doesn't she? And
Yeah.
they're not really for that long. Um, but yeah, I think I was keen to not delve too deeply into the emotional side of it because I'm a very very sensitive person, and I think
Sure.
had I gone down that route, it
Uh,
could have been game over.
yeah, no, no, you did the right thing. You did the right thing.
Yeah,
There's a moment where she appears obviously out of nowhere because you're all in the dark, but Kipps is in. Oh, there's that scene. Oh my God, it absolutely ripped me in half. That scene, the scene where Kipps falls asleep in the house, or is the actor playing Kipps falls asleep in the house, and he's got a torch on stage, and that's it. He's hearing noises, he's hearing all kinds of things. He sits down, the torch goes out for just a split moment. He goes, "Come on, come on, come back, come back, come back." He turns it on, he flicks it over his shoulder, and there she is.
yeah,
And he goes, "Fuck!" And I remember the audience that when I went to the first time just screamed. They
yeah.
screamed. And I just thought, what was that moment like every night?
That was great. That was always the biggest reaction, and I think because yeah, because that literally comes out of nowhere and it's so
Mm,
quick and also terrifying because we all go, oh my God, I would hate for that to happen. If you're in the dark on your own, already feeling scared, and then your torch goes out, oh God, it just doesn't even bear
Jesus.
thinking about. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can already feel the suspense and also being the person knowing what's about to happen, you go, okay, I'm going to brace myself
Mhm.
because it's kind of scary playing it yourself because
Yeah.
you start to feel like, oh my God, am I becoming haunted? Um,
Yeah.
because also on this job, it was in the middle of, well, it was Milford Haven, which is in the middle of Pembrokeshire,
Yeah.
but the digs that I'd got were like a little farmhouse in the middle of nowhere,
Oh
and
no.
I didn't have Wi-Fi, I didn't have any phone signal, and there was no heating in the place, so it was like this teeny tiny little cold barn. And whenever I got home, I was thinking, I was entirely on my own in the middle of nowhere, no one around me. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? Because I'm playing this terrifying part. And like, I don't know if I believe in um, spirits or, being haunted or something, but I'm open to it. And
Mm.
my God, I was open to it when I was doing that show because I was thinking, I'm already scared. I'm already on edge, playing the part anyway. And now being in this situation, in this house, on my own, no contact, dark, cold. It was terrifying.
Mm. I mean, I was going to ask you actually, having played this part, have you had any experiences with and like at all you think, what was that? And or just any kind of ghostly
Sadly
experience?
not.
No.
No, but I'm desperate for one. I think I really want to experience it because I really want to believe that those things do happen because I think, well, there are loads of weird and wonderful and magic things on this planet. Why couldn't that happen? Of course, I think it could,
Yeah.
and I'd be really open to it happening. But maybe that's why I've not been haunted. Because if it happened, I'd be like, God, this is terrifying. But hi, who are you? you know.
Yeah, there was, oh God, I'll tell a very quick story. You know who Jason Manford is?
Yeah.
Yeah, the comedian. Yeah, he was doing Sweeney Todd at the Adelphi back in 2012, and London's notorious for the theatres. stage managers who go, the spirits that still walk amongst the theatres, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. And then you go in and you really feel the energy. But there was one night, his daughter was in the dressing room one night, and he was just getting ready, and he was just like, yeah, getting his stuff on, and she's looking over his shoulder, like, and she went, well, and she went, darling, are you okay? She was like, Daddy, who's that man behind you? And
Oof.
and he was like, and he turned around and there was nobody there. And he was like, there's no one there. There's no one there. And she was like, and then she was like, oh, okay. And then he thought, oh, kids, or they might see some things, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, a week later, they're in the same sort of thing. And his daughter goes, Dad, that man's behind you again. And it's like, okay, so what does he look like? And he said, he looks like a soldier and he's crying. And and he was like, okay, right, this has happened twice now. This is too much. Anyway, he goes to the stage manager, and I can't remember the name of the guy, but he said, basically, my daughter's seeing this soldier, and he's crying, and it's happened a couple of times now. It's freaking me out. And the stage manager just went, oh yeah, yeah, we see him all the time. Yeah,
Oh my God, I've got goosebumps. That's
yeah,
mad.
yeah. And apparently he was a soldier. I think it was the Civil War, or English Civil War, or something like that. Um, No, yeah, no, sorry, I got that wrong. No, he was an actor. He was playing a soldier, and he was murdered outside the stage door one night. And his spirit is seen around. It's not just that theatre, but they see him in other theatres as well. And they go, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's Bob." That was that.
That's wild.
Yeah, that wasn't his name, by the way. I just made that up. But he's like, "Oh yeah, 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 we see him here all the time."
Oh my God.
Like, okay, right, okay, this is maybe there are other things that walk amongst us. It's quite scary.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I feel like I've worked in a lot of theatres. I feel like that's part of being in a theatre, isn't it? Is
Mm,
experiencing like the spirits that have been, or the people that have been, that may still be there.
mm,
Um, and I think that's part of the joy, and especially if you're on your own and like uh, in the depths of the backstage of a theatre, and it's dark and it's tall, and there's all of this machinery and these sounds going on, and you think, oh my God, if I hear anyone whisper in my ear and no one's around me, it's game over, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. There was. Oh God, I'm sorry. I'll tell another story. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make this all about
No,
myself.
go. No, I love it.
But we the basically where I live, there's a place around the corner for me. It's called Trestle Art Space, and they've regenerated it into like a tiny little 250 little theatre. It's very intimate, very very lovely, and there's a cafe outside and rehearsal room upstage. Uh, but it turns out that we when we got in there, we said, "Oh, there's a bit of a weird energy about this place. What did it used to be before it was a theatre?" And they said, "Oh, it was an asylum." And we thought, what? She's like, no, it was an asylum where they used to look after people here who used to have strange visions and see things. And it was like, okay, right, that explains that one. Anyway, flash forwards to this was about 10 years ago. Some we were also doing Sweeney Todd actually in that place as well. So there's probably some spiritual attachment to that musical.
Yeah.
But there was one night where my friend, who's also called Ollie, was in like so this the stage was here, and then like this was like in the warehouse, like behind the scenes, where you have all the set and equipment and stuff. And there was one night where Ollie was just like in there. I think he was getting some props or something for the show. He's picking them up, and he was there on his own, and it was fully lit and everything. And as he was walking out, he heard someone as clear as my voice is now over his shoulder just go, "Good luck." And
Ooh.
he turned around and there was nobody there, and he was like, "Okay, right." And then he told us all, and we were like, "Okay, right. There's someone in here with us right now." But these things they're real. And oh God, sorry, I got one more thing. There was I did a first ever experience of a self tape. I didn't know what self tapes were back in the day. We just recorded ourselves. I'm doing this thing, and this orb just flew over the top of my head, and I just thought, right, okay, right. I think I'm basically what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there are things that happen in theaters that, yeah, yeah, there is another
Yeah,
world out there.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because there's so many stories that happen within a theatre and so many people coming through and so many like I don't know, emotional connections or emotional upheavals that happen there. And I think there's a lot of magic in theatre, but there's also a lot of I don't know, there's spiritual stuff and there's it's so layered. And I think a theatre is a perfect place for I don't know, spirits to be because it's just I don't know, it's never ending and it's constant and there's constantly people around and
yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I can't imagine you going back to your little room in this farmhouse after you've maybe just walked, you've just finished a show and the reaction was like you've probably walked off stage one night and gone, yes, that was the best reaction. That was a really good one. And then you get your makeup off, your costume off and everything, and then you go home. And then suddenly, I can't imagine if you got home one night and it was raining and oh God, yeah.
Horrible. But
I'm surprised
my
you, go on.
overriding memory of that place, I'm so sorry, is just like
No, go
me getting home and immediately going dum 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 through the whole house, turning on all of the lights, going that I'm having no darkness in here until
Yeah.
I absolutely know that I'm safe and there's no one else in here.
Yeah. Did you sleep with the light on while you did that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Guys, if any of you have got stories, please put them below and Mary and I would love to read them, seriously. And it doesn't have to be in the theatre. If you've got any stories at all, let us know because we love stories like that. Absolutely. Just please get in touch. Yeah, oh my God. I love that place so much. Sadly, it's not around anymore. They've taken it from the West End. It's now Operation Mincemeat's at the Fortune now, unfortunately. But no, not unfortunately. I'm sure it's a great show. But yeah, but I think it's doing tours now. I think so. I think it does a national tour every now and then. So
Yeah, I hope so. I think it deserves a life. It's tricky
mm,
now because like people are so with horror movies now, people are so desensitized to horror.
mm,
Um, it's much harder. It's much harder to shock an audience now, I think, um, just because of everything that's on our phones and social media and films and stuff. But I do think it's important because I think there's something. I think there's something really magical about live. Um, I don't know, like live shock or live scares. I don't know.
yeah, there's a YouTuber called
Yeah.
Joe Weller. Don't know if you've heard of him at all. He and his friend of his, Elliot, they've created a little like series on YouTube of where they go to abandoned buildings and try and see if there's any evidence of like, can they find anything and they catch anything on camera or anything. And they go to one. This is probably the most famous one, actually. If you're, I'll send you a link to it. Actually, I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
They go to an abandoned mental asylum, and they go there. They check the place out. Nothing really seems to happen, and they thought, okay, well, we've done our thing. So they then up play a game. Like there's something to do with football players and stuff like that. They try and guess who the player is. And then towards the end of the video, they're going just playing this game, and suddenly over Joe's shoulder, this voice just goes, "Joe." And Joe goes, "Hello," and then they start hearing like kids saying, like when you see like mental, like Shutter Island or something like that, when you see kids going that sort of
Mm.
thing, and suddenly that starts to happen. The two of them look at each other and go, "No, it's just kids. It's just kids. They're just probably mucking about." And then suddenly the stones start being thrown where they are. And it's clattering all around and stuff. A lot of people are divided whether it was faked or not. But if you see it and get the energy from it, you think this looks interesting. This looks really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll send it
Oh,
to you. I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
please do. I'd love to watch it.
Tell
Yeah.
me what you think. Yeah. Oh God, we could do a whole episode about ghosts, couldn't we? But yeah, guys, please send us your stories. I'd love to read them. Please, please do. So yeah, so fantastic job on that. So I suppose finally to sort of close that bit of our chat about Women in Black really is, if it comes back to the West End and they say, Miriam, we'd like you to do it, what would you say?
Oh, I'd probably say yes. Never say never. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a like in terms of an acting role, there's not really much involved because it's sort of brief appearances and then most of the time you're sort of sat in your dressing room. But never say never, and it was the joy, and it would be crazy to say no.
Yeah. But my God, is it memorable?
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. I loved it. It was great. I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got one final question about this. It's a very quick one. It's very quick. So
Yeah.
at the end, the actors come out and do their curtain calls. So the Kips and the actors sort of they bow to the audience, say thank you very much. They bow to each other, and then as they walk off, you're stood on a high platform, and it just a light only goes on your face. And then from my experiences, the audience go like they clap the other two off, and then they see the woman and they go,
Yeah.
yeah. So what was the reaction when did you get an applause some nights or did you?
I think the applause would kind of continue, and then as soon as they established me, they'd be like, I could hear the sort of applause sort of dwindling off. But then once they had established my face, the black gauze would then come down. So then I was covered. So then I think they felt comfortable enough to be like, oh no, okay, that is the end. We're happy. But yeah, I'd actually forgotten about that moment until you just reminded me. But yeah, yeah, I definitely remember that moment of them just being like, ah, not again. Come on.
Please, we've had enough. We've had enough
Yeah.
for a lifetime.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I remember walking past the theatre one night and seeing people coming out with the fortune having just seen it, and I've just gone, well, good luck to you guys sleeping tonight. You can
Sleep
get a
with
good,
one eye open.
yeah, sleep with like the covers on like this, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, but we could do a whole episode on that. That's
No,
fantastic.
it's great. I love it.
So yeah, I'd love to see your Woman in Black at some point. That'd be fantastic. So we're sort of bringing on to another thing, which is now we're taking a break from the stage and now going to the screen, which is of course the first thing I ever saw you in was the short film The Date, along with Claire Cartwright, fantastic actress who's been on here as well. Hello, Claire. Hope you're well. And yeah, so how? Yeah, Claire talked about like how the first like chemistry read. I didn't know what chemistry read was until I spoke to Claire about that. But yeah, what was like the first? How did you hear about the job? Is again your agent ring you up? Did you get a call from the director? How did it happen?
It was on, well, it's now called Mandy Actors. What was it called before?
It was just Mandy. Yeah, yeah.
Was it Mandy?
It's
Yeah, but basically one of
okay.
the forums where jobs are posted online, and I was sort of, I can't remember how old I was, maybe 23, 24. I think it was actually the summer after I did Woman in Black.
Oh
And
wow.
I was working in a doctor's surgery at the time, and I was on my break, and I was going through Mandy Actors, and there was this thing about um, a queer love story. And then I read the description, and it was like, I'm basically, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it basically said something along the lines of, really tired of seeing lesbian love stories with unhappy endings. They're always killed off or they're always separated. And it said, I'm really determined to do one with a happy ending and celebrate queer love. Um, and it was a sort of, I guess it was a budget film because they were sort of doing it because they wanted to do it because they loved the thought of doing it, and they wanted to tell that story, but there wasn't a lot of money involved. So they said, it's very low budget, it will be very low pay, but it will be a really great experience. And if you want, a
It's a
positive
gig.
experience, that's exactly what it will be. That's the gig. And I thought, oh, do you know what? And at this point, I'd never done TV or film, had never experienced what it was like to be on a film set. I didn't know the first thing about it,
Mm.
didn't even know what a chemistry read was. But I thought, that sounds great. And I also want to be a part of telling positive queer love stories because I'm also one of the audience members who goes, stop killing them off. It's really boring. There are happy endings in queer love stories, so we need to stop doing that. So yeah, so when I saw the breakdown and the opportunity, I just thought that sounds great. I want to do it. So I applied as soon as I saw it, and uh, they got back to me straight away,
Oh,
and yeah, invited me for a chemistry read with Claire, which I was quite scared about because I'd never done one before and I didn't really know what to expect. And as soon as I saw Claire, I thought, oh, I bet Claire's a very established, brilliant actress, and I'm very brand new in the industry. But she was lovely, and we had a really lovely time. And they're bizarre because you have to get so close so quickly with someone you've literally just met.
yeah.
Um, but I think we both felt really easy. The dynamics and the vibes in the room were really lovely, very chilled.
Mm.
So I think we both felt comfortable enough to be like, oh yeah, that was great, that was nice.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's okay to ask this, like you say there, like you have to be very close and very intimate with someone who 30 seconds ago you've just gone, oh hi, I'm Miriam, by the way, and
Yeah.
yeah. So what's that? interesting. Obviously, it sounds like they made the room very safe, and the vibes were good and everything, and you liked Claire and stuff. But what would you say to people who have to have that experience, or not have to have, it's not mandatory, but when you are in a situation where you have to be very intimate with someone very, very quickly. I mean, how do you sort of adapt to that sort of very quickly?
I think I was just, I stayed really relaxed and I just trusted that everyone in the room uh, felt the same thing that I did. Like everyone was like, oh, this is, nerve-wracking for all of us because maybe it's our first time as well. Um, and so I think I just told myself, it's this is the first time that we've all ever been in this exact situation. So it's the first time for all of us. So we're
Sure.
all on the same page, and we're doing it for the love of the content. And so I guess also for Claire and I think we both knew how important it probably was
Hmm.
that really quickly we established whether there was any chemistry or not, because it was such a short filming period that I guess they had to know that whoever was coming in had immediate chemistry, so that there was no extra work to be done on top of it because there just wasn't any time. Um, and so yeah, so I think I would advise like just stay calm and just I think just go with whatever is given to you, um, and also know your limits. Like I
Mm.
think if they'd have asked me, not that they would have ever done this, but I think if I ever go into somewhere and they say, "Can you just like I don't know remove your jumper or something?" I'd be like, "Well, I don't think we need that,"
No.
you know.
No.
Um, but they didn't ask any of that. Obviously, that
Good.
it was not that vibe at all. But I think yeah, I think I went in knowing what my limits would be, and luckily none of those boundaries were pushed.
Good. Good. No, no, no. It's a good conversation that we need to have now, just to know, um, having that initial conversation about how far the director and the story of how far you really want it to go in a way.
Hmm.
And of course, in some cases, if you feel like this is too much, then don't take the job. There's no
Hmm.
shame in that and saying, no, this is just way too much.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a beautiful story actually, and it speaks very much to our time, the modern day of finding someone, dating apps, Tinder, Bumble, whatever it is that people use. I personally don't use them, but because I think they're annoying, but and just full of crap and fake profiles and stuff. And so just yeah, don't do it if I was you guys. But then again, there have been some people who have found fiancés, partners, husbands, wives, and stuff on it. So if you have, congratulations. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, it speaks very much to our time about how people find love in the 21st century and stuff. Was that another aspect of it which really drew you to the story?
Yeah, definitely. Because also at the time I was online dating and finding it really hard to meet people. And I think
Mm.
especially in the queer community, there's a much smaller percentage of us
Okay.
anyway. And so I think it is hard. I do think it's harder to meet people. Um, and it's yeah, I think seeing sad love stories on in movies, seeing yourself represented in such a bleak way, you just go, oh my God, is that really what I have to look forward to?
Yeah.
Um, and so online dating can feel so laborious and just feel like such a dead end. But I know so many people who have met through online dating. Like to be honest, most of my family,
Mm.
or like my cousins or something, I've been to weddings of many people who have all met online, and I love that.
Oh, good.
Um, and like a lot of my queer friends who are in relationships have also met people online, and I do think it's not for everyone. And like you say, Ollie, if it's not for you, then don't do it because
Yeah, yeah.
it can be really soul crushing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I just felt for me, especially being um, in a smaller percentage of people trying to find other people in that small percentage, you go, oh my God, online dating is even harder because there's a smaller pool to work from. And so I think I just wanted to tell the story of there are people out there, and you just have to trust that it's going to happen, because it
Mm.
will happen and you will be drawn together, because eventually you'll swipe through all of the ones, and then you'll find that 1% in that small pool of people, and you'll suddenly go, oh my God, it's you, yay.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. we live in like times which are changing all the time, like, and just to be clear, like, it's not the only way you can meet someone and everything, it's very, very different. But yeah, so I remember there's one scene in particular where you and Claire, that you're walking across, I think it's Waterloo Bridge, or one of the main bridges in London. It's very long and it's outdoors. But and I couldn't help but notice that you shot that in like sort of early evening or something like that. And I think Claire said it was like February or kind of winter sort of
Yeah.
time, I think it was. And when you're filming something, you have to do it again and again and again. Even on low budget stuff, you want to make sure you've got the right angles, the right shots and everything. So yeah,
Mm.
it's just just sort of thinking, how did you get through those nights where you're probably going, okay, all right, do another take, you finish the take, oh God, okay, warm myself back up. Yeah. Yeah, what was
Yeah,
it
well,
like?
I think it was easier because again, it's one of those situations where we're all in it together, and we had such an amazing team who were so like just wanted everyone to feel okay and as comfortable as possible. So whenever me and Claire would do the scene and they would say cut, we'd have lovely, lovely people around us with big, thick coats who would immediately go rumph around us. And I think there's some cuts on YouTube of like behind the scenes, and there's a scene where Claire and I are both sharing body heat in the same coat.
Yeah.
So they'd throw one coat over both of us, and we'd sort of share body heat a little bit, and then they'd say, "Right, we're back." Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Um, yeah, yeah. They'd say, "Okay, we're back." So then we'd throw it off and get into it. But I was in a dress, so it's bloody cold. Um, but I think you just go, "Oh, well, we're doing it because we love it,
Yeah.
and it's just part of it." Like it makes for a fun story, and it makes it sort of again another bonding experience because you're all in it together.
Exactly, yeah, and I nearly said baptism of fire. There was not quite this. No, I think that's a bit harsh. But but you said it was like one of your first experiences on a film set and everything, and you and Claire are the main focal point of the story because it's just the two of you. Lines to learn, places. You've got people around you, the hustle and bustle of set and everything. Even again, sounds like I'm degrading it. I'm absolutely not. But even on low budget stuff where the crew is a lot smaller than, say, of a set of Lord of the Rings or something, where you've got hundreds of people behind you. But what was like your first experience? Well, what was it like being on the set for the very first time? And then what did you learn sort of quite quickly about set and sort of keeping yourself in the work, if that makes sense?
Mm. I really loved it, and I'm actually really glad I experienced it that way because seeing it from a sort of budget point of view, you're surrounded by grafters, and it is such a hard slog. And it made me realize, God, putting on any kind of movie or any sort of series, any sort of filming, like that movie that we filmed was 10 minutes long. And there were some really, really tricky moments where, they'd think that they'd booked out a location, and then you'd get there and the security guard would say, "No, you're not filming here." And they'd say, "But hold on, we've booked this out. Like we've cleared it with people." And they'd go, "No, you haven't cleared it, so you'll have to move somewhere else." And they go, "Oh my God, okay, well I guess like if someone's telling us that we can't and it's a security member, I guess we can't. So we just have to I guess we just sort of have to wing it." And it becomes about thinking on your feet, and also everyone having to be in it together. Um and then just the basics of filming, like doing something over and over again to get the right shot. And then if something's in the wrong position and you've done the scene and you thought it's gone great, and then they've gone, "Oh God, the glass was in the wrong position," you go, "Oh my God, I would never have known that." So
Yeah.
it's all of those really, really minute things that to an audience's perspective you would never even notice, but there's so many things that go on behind the scenes, and there's so much setup, and lighting, and like it's not easy, it's not an
Mm.
easy job.
No.
um and so credit to all of the members of the team just doing such a great job on such a shoestring of a budget and limited time as well. To pull together what they did was just, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
um and also just knowing when, like, I'm a really social person and I love a chat, but there are times when I have to go, "Oh, Mims, just like sit back and just
Recharge.
recoup a little bit,
Recharge.
recharge. And I
Yeah.
think a set is probably a good place to do that because everyone's busy doing their own thing anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and I think if it was clear that Claire was doing some recharging, I'd go, great. Oh, that gives me an excuse to sort of recharge as well. Um, so yeah, so there were loads of lessons in that one, and I loved each and everything that I learnt. Um, yeah, learnt about the backstage, but also about, I don't know, keeping it fresh in every take. I'd never really done that before because in theatre you get one chance to do it on the night,
Yeah.
and then if you're like, oh, that was pants, I'll have to change it up tomorrow. You have to wait 24 hours. Where on this one, you go, oh, fuck that up. Can we do it again? And they go, yeah, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And you mentioned that I was going to ask you, so what were you, like it's all about dating apps and stuff. What were your experiences? I'm joking, I don't want to know. But I mean, if you want to share, if you have any stories, then
Listen, I was on dating apps basically from drama school up until very, very recently, and
yeah.
it's bleak. It's bleak out there. It's really hard. And I had some gorgeous dates with some gorgeous people and met some really delightful human beings, but it is hard because
Mm.
having to meet someone from scratch and then get to know them, it's a lot of admin time. And it's
Yeah.
also dating is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of money.
and I think, yeah, I think I just really wanted to be involved in a project that was basically saying sometimes it's worth it
Mm. Yeah.
because you could meet someone really, really great, but you have to get through the bit that feels like a hard slog.
Hmm.
And also just gives you hope because then you go into a date thinking, oh, maybe this could be really nice, rather than, oh my God, another date where I'm having to spend another tenner on a glass of wine, or, it sort of instilled a bit of hope in me, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned earlier that, it's good to have obviously, yeah, these stories about, just love in general. Like sometimes it's all beautiful at first and then right at the end there's the dagger to the heart and everyone walks out of the cinema like, oh, for God's sake, why can't they just be together? Why can't we have a happy ending for a change? And I think actually in the description on YouTube it says, obviously it's got the title, the date, and then there's a dash and it says positive I can't remember the name. It's like positive relationship representation on camera or something. So right from the off, you're going, okay, we're projecting an image of positivity, because love is love. It doesn't matter who you love. All forms of it. Great, and don't discriminate as well. Unfortunately, there are some idiots out there who still do, but just ignore them. But
Yeah.
yeah. So it's all, you finish watching that film going, yeah, we see a positive image of two ladies who found each other, and there is a happy ending, and in a way, and you leave your audiences feeling happy, saying, "Oh, it worked out,"
Yeah.
And yeah, was that one of the biggest pulls, like for yourself, just leaving your audience with a happy message, and even like for yourself as an actor as well, you walk away thinking, yeah, I mean, their spirit's going to leave me now, but I hope wherever your character goes. What was your character's name? Was it Lizzie?
Yeah.
Lizzie, yeah. I think wherever Lizzie is now wherever it is in the universe, she's happy. When I think was that a big pull for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also don't think I had anticipated it uh, being as widely watched as
Mm,
it has been. I was
yeah.
beautifully surprised by that. And I actually remember I was set up on a date with someone years ago, and uh, on the date they said to me, "I'm this is a really embarrassing confession, Miriam, but I am going to say I actually saw your movie as
Mhm.
part of my like sort of queer journey because I remember going onto YouTube and just typing in like queer love stories with happy endings or like, just like getting to grips with their sexuality and
Sure.
finding this video about the date and it's sort of confirming for them that it was lovely and not scary. And then, yeah, and then we met and I heard that it had helped someone on their journey, and then I'd actually met them in person. I thought, God, that's
Oh,
really cool. I would have had no idea that that would have happened, but I thought that was amazing because also on when I was coming out, on my journey, I was on YouTube searching all sorts of queer love stories,
Oh, yeah.
thinking, oh my God, like, yeah, I can't even imagine what it would feel like myself. And so, yeah, I think my teenage dream would have been meeting these people that I'd been following on YouTube for all these years. And then
Yeah.
finally it happened to someone, and I happened to be the person who was in one
Yeah.
of the movies that moved them. And I thought, oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Fantastic. Yeah. It shows the arts. I've said this many times. It changes the world. It changes the world
Yeah,
and it helps people through
yeah,
difficult situations. Like, people, I've heard so many coming out stories in my time, and I can't imagine like how, obviously as a heterosexual, I don't have that. I won't have that experience, but I can't imagine sort of, yeah, and I'm not going to ask you any personal details here or nothing, but just about how huge something like that is, and the fact that you did this film, you met this person who said, I watched you and you helped me. I mean, that must have been one hell of a moment.
yeah. It was amazing, and also like it doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally I'll get a message on, I don't know, either Facebook or Instagram where someone's found me from YouTube and gone on a little hunt, and all they've wanted to say is just, I just watched your movie and I just want to say it made me feel really good and I thought it was great, so thank you. And
Mm.
I think that's happened, I think it's maybe happened about 7 or 8 times since the film came out, but
Oh,
that's enough
fantastic.
for me to go, oh, that's awesome. And they're also from all across the globe, it's people
Yeah.
from all different, lots of different countries, from all different walks of life, and they've all come together and found this one thing that's made them feel really hopeful, um, which I just think is really beautiful.
Yeah, you're changing people's lives, Miriam.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, you really are. There's evidence of it. If it's all right to ask, that girl who saw your story, saw the film, sorry. Uh, I don't know. Do you stay in touch? I know. Did she? Yeah.
No, we're not in touch anymore, but it was a lovely interaction, and yeah, we had a really, yeah, lovely time. And I
Oh,
think
good.
I just came away feeling like, oh, that was great and really reaffirming, I think, for both of us.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
You changed the world. You changed the world, which is good.
It's very
Yeah.
kind.
No, you really do. You really do. Congratulations on that film. It's really, really lovely. And for any of you watching it, I'll put it down below in the description. Go watch it because Miriam gives a fantastic performance. And you can bring your work to the masses on the screen as well as on stage as well. And I can't wait to see your next play that you do. Can I ask a daring question? Do you have a new play lined up?
Unfortunately not. There's such as the actor's life. It's plunged into fun employment following the RSC gig. So yeah, so fingers crossed for the next one, but who knows? You
Yeah,
know what it's like.
you give it time. It's coming, mate. It's coming. Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
be back on
thank
that
you.
stage again. Don't you worry. Brilliant, Miriam. This has been absolutely amazing. I've just got a few more questions left for you for today, which is just to finish off. The first one is, what would you say was a bit of advice that you wish you heard right at the beginning of your career?
I'm going to say two things.
Yeah, bring it, bring it.
Number one would be, when you're in a job, stay playful and joyful,
Mm,
and always remember it's just a job. It's not. It's not your life. It's
yeah,
not the be all and end all. And number two is, for the moments of unemployment that you will get as an actor,
of course.
it's really good to find a craft that you can plunge yourself into as another money earner. And I wish that someone had told me back in drama school, train yourself in some sort of labour work because it's always, always employable. And
Mm,
I wish someone had said that, because I wish I could provide myself or provide my I don't know, experience as an electrician or a plumber or something. It's something that is always needed, and can always earn you money on the side, because finding work as an actor when you're going from job to job to job to job, finding work in between those can be really, really hard.
yeah,
And so I think, where you can, or if you can, finding yourself or honing yourself another employable skill
mm,
is like so important, because I didn't do that and it's been a struggle.
mm. Yeah, but it's it's a cliche, but you just have to keep going. Have to keep just believing. And
Yeah,
yeah, like I say, it's a word that a phrase that's used a lot, and it's kind of might lose its potency sometimes, but it's very, very true. It's very true. You've got to just got to keep going at this thing, and but then that's when the rewards come, which is the important thing.
yeah.
So if it's okay to ask, I mean, what are you up to now? What's the job you're doing at the moment?
Well, this is the thing. So I'm straight back into unemployment because I don't have this another skill under my belt to be able to immediately sell. I'm
Yeah,
I'm always back to square one whenever
yeah,
I'm back to unemployment. So I'm back to applying for anything and everything, bar jobs, waitressing jobs, gardening jobs, all
yeah,
sorts. So
yeah,
I'm just sort of waiting for one of those to come back to me.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so
Basically,
it's a
yeah,
waiting game.
yeah. You could go back to the garden company you were with before and say, "Can I have my job back?"
Yeah, exactly. And I think I will. I loved it, and it brought me a lot of joy. And so yeah, I think if nothing comes up in the next couple of weeks, that's exactly what I'll be doing.
Good stuff. People can find you there and get a selfie. And then finally today, I have a closing question for every guest. What's been an experience or experiences that you've had in your career up to now that you'll never ever forget?
Um, okay, I've got two again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bring it.
Number one will be my first job straight out of drama school, which was with my absolute best friends, um, my Liverpool girls. We did Shout the Mod musical,
Yeah.
and it's been an experience that will stay with me forever and has shaped who I am today, 100%. And then I'd say that working at the RSC was truly a dream. It was the most incredible job I've ever done. So much to the point that I got a little tattoo dedicated to it because I just want it imprinted on my being forever. I just want
Nice.
to remember the sheer magic and the sheer joy that I experienced doing that job. And I hope that everyone gets to experience that sort of job at least once in their life. And I can now die happy knowing that I did that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty more moments like that to come. And
Hopefully.
yeah, of course they will. Let's put it out there. But no, definitely more stuff to come and more things to do. Miriam, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been an absolute joy to talk to you today about not only just the date, but Pericles, a Shakespeare play which I didn't know about, which I definitely want to look up even more now, and just sharing ghost stories. I wasn't expecting that today, and that was honestly that was great. Yeah, guys, again, please send in your stories. But yeah, this has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been an absolute joy speaking to you today. And I would love to continue this conversation in the future. Still got so many more I'd love to talk to you about, but we'll have to leave it there for now. But if you just hang on, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a little debrief afterwards, and I'll let you go. But yeah. Wow, fantastic stuff. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. And for now, Miriam O'Brien, thank you so very much.
Thanks for having me.